What's up, YouTube? I'm back with an update. Hardware, I have a little bit of an update to show you. I went out to the garage and did some cutting, but not done. Definitely not done. Tomorrow, I'm hoping I will be done, and then I'll have a finished product to show you. But for tonight, I do have some software changes to show you. Last video you saw I had like 50 bytes left of space for code, which you know is basically like a couple lines of code and then that's it. So what I did, I was sick all last week, which is why it's been so long since I've made a video. I got the flu, it sucked. Flu shot obviously didn't work this year, but oh well, that's the nature of the beast. The good news is, while I was down and sick, I had a lot of time to think, and I rethink the algorithm for how I did my fading of my lights. The fading algorithm, because basically, even if you go up or down, let's say 5%, it's not jumping from 95 to 90%, it's sliding and it's shifting at actually probably like half to a third of a percent increments smoothly down from each setting. You probably can't tell in the video, even when you're here it's kind of hard to tell because it does it so quickly. But you can tell though if you go from like max down to off how smoothly it fades. But that algorithm would be super simple if I have all four strings fading on and off together. But to get better a better range of lighting, I have each string turn on one at a time. So when you hit 25%, the first light string is at 100%. When you hit 50%, the second light string is all the way up. And then when you start going above 50%, that third string starts to turn on. And so that was what made it tough. And I'm sure in your head, you're like, hey, that's easy. Well, I tried a few things and couldn't get it to work, and I banged my head against the wall. I kept adding more and more code, and I did eventually get it to work, but the function was huge. It worked and did the exact same thing it does now, but once I came up with a new method, my new function was literally like 20 lines long. I'm not even kidding. I went from several hundred lines down to 20, and I managed to shave 4,000 bytes. Actually, I think it was almost 5,000 bytes. Actually, I think it was like 4,700 bytes or something like that. That is huge. That's like bigger than some people's entire sketch. That's how much space I saved by rethinking the algorithm. So that flash means one of the power timers went below a minute, and there's a new feature I added where if you hit the middle button, it adds 5 minutes. And actually, both of those could have been less than a minute, and if I would have hit it, it would have added 5 minutes to both. It doesn't matter which one or both, it'll add 5 minutes. But if you hit it now, it doesn't do anything. It'll only do it to ones that are below 5 minutes. So that's just a quick feature, so you don't have to actually go through the menu system to do it. If you're in the middle of soldering, all you have to do is reach over to the remote, hit that, and then boom, you got an extra 5 minutes before it shuts off. But freed up a ton of space, which allowed me to have enough memory left to do that feature, to have a functional power button now that just shuts everything off, and a new fume extractor controller, which I don't have the fume extractor built yet, but that's going to be my next project as soon as this one is done. But as you can see, those are representing my two outlets, which are right here. They're not done yet, but there's a solid state relay for each one. And these lights, LEDs right here, are just representing those outlets being on. So now, if you hit the power button, you can see those instantly turned off, and it shut everything off. The lights, the fume extractor, the exhaust fans for the instrument rack. And if you hit it again, it powers on, and it just basically turns everything to default. So my default's 50% brightness, and then to turn the instrument rack exhaust fans 50%. So we'll turn the brightness all the way up so you can see better. As you can see, it's really responsive. Hit a button, it goes straight to each menu. You know, if I could aim the remote. So it's nice and snappy. Could also help if I could push the button in all the way. That's actually the receiver right there. You never know where it's floating around each time I do one of these videos. So, really quickly, it's hard to do this quickly, but quick demo for anyone who's not seen this project. This controls everything on my workbench. I finally added some LED lighting, and I wanted a way to control the brightness, but I also didn't want to waste an entire Arduino on it, so it is now also a clock for my workbench. It'll let me control. So anyways, let's start with the lights. You hit A to go to the lights, B to go to the fan menu. Man, why won't this focus? And then C to go to the power menu. So if you hit A, it goes to the light screen. If you hit up or down, it goes full off or full on. And if you do left or right, it goes up or down in 5% increments. So like I was saying a second ago, 75% means 3 of the light strings are on, and 1 of them is off. So if I go up to 80%, you'll see that 3rd or 4th string start to come on. So see how that works. That is the only reason the algorithm is even somewhat complicated, is because of how I did the lights. But it faded better whenever I did the fading on and off versus all of them fading together from off to on. And plus, when I hit 25% multiples, none of the lights are being PWM because they're all either on or off, so there's no noise. So whenever I'm using my oscilloscope and taking really precise measurements, I don't have to worry about noise being injected in there from PWM from just merely an inch below it. So that's why that took so much code, and now it's reworked. It does not take up much code. I figured out a simpler way to do it. B goes into the fan menu. Those are the exhaust fans for the instrument rack. You can hear they're pretty gnarly. If you hit B a second time when you're already in the fan menu, it toggles between the 2 fan controls, because these obviously are both technically fans. The fume extractor I don't have built yet, but I have these fans over here plugged into the little board I made for it, and so it's either on or off. And you can use left or right, it doesn't really matter. So once it's on, you go back to the main menu. Now you will see a percent, which is different from how I did the exhaust fans. That is because there is a potentiometer. And so if I turn that down, the reason I have to turn it slow, I originally had this update almost instantly. The problem was it's spending so much time in the loop, out of the main loop to do that, that the LCD started to become, not the LCD, the IR remote started to become less responsive, and I hated that. I want the screen to respond as soon as I hit a button. I don't want there to be a huge delay or any sluggishness. I hate slow computers. I hate slow anything. I hate slow credit card machines whenever I'm out shopping. I hate anything that's slow. I'm really impatient. So screen update is only once a second. I have it update in the same area of the code that updates the time once a second. And it's also the same part that updates the timers for the power. But that's where that's updated. So you'll see if I keep moving this, anytime you see the times, the seconds part update, it's also updating the fan speed. But that's just the LCD update part. The actual writing of the speed to the pin is instant. So as soon as I change this, the fans change. It might take the screen a second to catch up, but my actual changes are being written immediately to the fans. So that's happening in the part of the loop every single time it goes. So I'm guessing it's happening thousands of times per second, because the analog write, I believe, only takes like, it's in the order of microseconds. So anyways, this will be, okay, what I'm thinking about doing is building for my next project a fume extractor thing. It's probably going to be 4 pretty powerful computer fans that are PWM controlled. I'll have them in a box, and then I'll have it sized down to some kind of like a duct or pipe, and then I'll have it come out from over by the wall to over to here, and then I'll be able to set it. I'll have some kind of a weighted base that it connects to that I can set down in front of where I'm soldering, and it'll suck the air out. And on that thing, I'll have the knob mounted, so I just, while I'm soldering, I can reach up and then turn the knob to adjust the speed if it's not enough suction or if it's too loud or whatever. So that's why I decided to use this instead of a instead of just doing presets like I did with the cabinet exhaust fans. Now for those, there's no reason for me to have a knob for those. You know, I already have some presets, and outside of those presets, that's all I need. But for a fume extractor, you know, I want to adjust those depending on how much smoke there is or how close it is to what I'm soldering and whatnot. So that'll be really handy. And as you can see, I already have wires made to go to each of these things. And some of these are kind of long because I don't know how long they will need to be. I can't really plan that far ahead. I don't have a time machine, so yeah. So I have wires made up for everything. I just need to get everything mounted once the hardware's finished. So I think that's it. The screensaver, I have it set to 3 minutes. That's probably what I'll leave it at. Did I show you? I did show you the flashing, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think whenever they go below a minute, it doesn't matter which one it is. When a timer gets below a minute, it flashes the workbench lights, regardless of whatever the workbench lights are currently set to. And then when it's done flashing, it sets the workbench lights back to whatever they were set to before it warns you. But anyways, so your workbench lights could be completely off. One of these will go below a minute. Actually, let's just do that. We'll set the lights all the way off. And then we'll set a timer to 1 minute. Obviously 1 minute is 60 seconds, so it's going to be immediate. As soon as I turn this on, it's going to tick down to 59 seconds, and then you'll see it flashing. It'll say, hey, it's under a minute. But see, despite the workbench lights being off, it flickered at me. So watch, we'll set it to some weird percent. We'll do 35%. We'll do 1 minute. Still flashes, and then when it's done flashing, it goes back to whatever light brightness you had it set to. So watch, it can be all the way at 100% brightness. Still flashes. And like I said, once one goes below a minute, all you have to do is on the remote hit the center little button. Boom, it adds 5 minutes to whatever time was left. So, and it knows which one or ones are below 5 minutes. So, and once they are, you don't have to worry about it because it won't do anything now because neither of them are below. Another thing, because code was freed up, the power button now has functionality. So if you hit the power button, so you can see both outlets are on, the exhaust fans are on, fume extractor fans on, both outlets are going. If you hit the power button, boom, outlets both instantly turn off, everything turns off. And now it's just basically a fancy clock, which will be moving around the screen once the screensaver kicks on. If you hit the power button, it turns everything on to the default. So 50% brightness, silent for the instrument rack exhaust fans, and that's it. So that is a kind of a quickish overview. 13 minutes, I guess, to most people is probably not quick, but I like to blabber a lot, so that's not too bad. Hardware, not a ton of changes, but obviously this is final product to be like this, mounted neatly and straight, and then I'm going to paint the whole thing black. And this will be what I plug my soldering iron and reflow station into. What I did today, I know it's not a ton of progress, but it's kind of late, so I didn't feel like making too much racket. I cut some 2x4s in half for each side, and that's what the outlets are going to mount to. And then from the underside of this box, I'm going to put screws into these the wood. So this will be nice and sturdy, so I can pull power plugs in and out of there without it warning about the whole thing breaking. And then that should leave me with plenty of space down there for my solid-state relays. So, yep, pretty excited to get all that wired up and put inside and finished. So that's going to require drilling and sawing and crap like that. So I'm going to do that tomorrow when it's not 3 in the morning. So another thing I'm gonna have to do, as you can see, if you put a plate here, there's a gap. So if you're familiar with putting wiring in a house, you probably already know this, but in a wall those stick out farther. So I'm going to use this plywood stuff that's really thin. I might have to use 2 strips of it actually, but I'm going to cut 2 of those and then put them in each corner here, and that should lift this up. Well, sorry, it's really hard to do. That hole's pretty snug. It should lift it up just high enough to where it'll fit flush through this faceplate. So that's the hardware part. It's really the only change I have. Obviously, I'm gonna have the power cable going in through a hole I drill through a grommet. This yellow and brown wiring cable, which goes to the LEDs that are representing the SSDs right now. Not SSD, SSRs. Those are also going to go in through the same hole. And then I'll be able to control my outlets using the good old Arduino. Or, I mean, Workbench controller, sorry. For now, that's it. But now you have insight as to what my next project's going to be. And actually, I have a couple other projects in mind. Lots of projects, always projects. But I did a lot better on time this time. Actually, this is the 3rd time I've recorded. First time I went to like 35 minutes and thought, you know, for only changing one thing by adding that, 35 minutes is a little ridiculous for a video. But I did change a lot. I added some more features. The power button works now. There's the new menu for the fume extractor. I shortened the code and optimized it. I moved this over to here. Now you can shortcut and add 5 minutes to either timer. It flashes to warn you when they go below a minute. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff I added. Screensavers up to 3 minutes instead of 10 seconds. 10 seconds was just for demonstration purposes in the last video, but I think 3 or 5 minutes would be good. Actually, I think I set it to 5 minutes. 300 is the value, but that's 300 seconds. So yeah, that'd be 5 minutes. Yep. Next video hopefully will be tomorrow, and it'll be, if it's not a completely finished product, it'll at least be this done, and then I'll be able to demonstrate with this. I can plug in like a light or a lamp or something, and then let this run down to 0, and then you'll see the lamp turn off. Don't know if I'll get that far. I hope I will. I don't work tomorrow, and I'm not sick now, so there really isn't any reason I shouldn't be able to get this done tomorrow. Maybe not the whole thing. Oh, another update. Last time, when you looked, sorry, I got my microphone here, so it's kind of hard. When you looked here, you'd see the cables hanging down, and I told you that I needed to get those screwed up to the surface, so that's why you see that, and that, and then there's a bunch over here too. So now they're flush against the top, so you don't see them hanging down. Obviously that's still hanging because I'm not done with, sorry, I'm really terrible with the camera. I'm not done with this entire project yet, but when the project's done, there will be no wires. The screen will be over there. Yeah, and then everything will be hidden. That'll be underneath the workbench, but everything will magically do whatever I want with the control of this guy, so... Oh yeah, I think that's it. Yep, hopefully I will be seeing you in a video tomorrow if all goes well. See ya.